Are you struggling to come up with original content week in and week out? Start a podcast. Interview your ideal clients, let them talk about what they care about most, and never run out of content ideas again. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to B2B Growth, a daily podcast for B2B leaders. We've interviewed names you've probably heard before, like Gary Vaynerchuk and Simon Sinek, but you've probably never heard from the majority of our guests. That's because the bulk of our interviews aren't with professional speakers and authors. Most of our guests are in the trenches leading sales and marketing teams. They're implementing strategy. They're experimenting with tactics. They're building the fastest growing B2B companies in the world. My name is James Carberry. I'm the founder of Sweetfish Media, a podcast agency for B2B brands, and I'm also one of the co-hosts of this show. When we're not interviewing sales and marketing leaders, you'll hear stories from behind the scenes of our own business. We'll share the ups and downs of our journey as we attempt to take over the world. Just kidding. Well, maybe. Let's get into the show.
Welcome back to the B2B Growth Show. I'm your host for today's episode, Logan Lyles, Director of Partnerships here at Sweetfish. I am joined today by Peter Ross. He is the VP of Marketing at Actifio. Peter, how's it going today, man?
Going well. Good afternoon, Logan. Thanks very much for having me join you today. As I mentioned earlier, one of my favorite topics outside of talking about the Boston Red Sox and the Patriots, of course, is B2B marketing. So couldn't be more excited to join you today.
I love it. And you have been a part of some high growth teams, doing some great stuff over at Actifio these days. And I'm really excited to hear your thoughts on 5 specific strategies and about customer marketing. And you've got some unique perspectives there. Before we jump into today's topic, Peter, I would love for you to give a little bit of background to our audience. Why don't you share a little bit of your background and what you and the team at Actifio are up to these days?
Sure thing. So just briefly, as you mentioned, I'm the Vice President of Marketing here at Actifio. I've been here roughly 3 years, and prior to that have spent the bulk of my career in B2B technology marketing, predominantly in the Boston area with some, blue chip companies, namely EMC, which has recently in the last year or so been acquired by Dell, as well as XIO, a data storage company based out of Colorado Springs, which I know is in your backyard. So prior to that, worked in a number of different agencies, both digital, advertising, and PR. So really, I've sort of touched on all the various parts of the wagon wheel of marketing, if you will, and kind of exciting ride. And it's allowed me to kind of put a lot of those skills to use over the last, several years here, specifically at Actifio, as we've been tasked with really driving growth of this brand. If you know anything about Actifio, we are a data management software company founded about 8 years ago. And we specialize in a number of different use cases, namely data backup and recovery, migrating data to the cloud, and allowing our customers to access their data to build applications faster, which in a world in which every company is trying to become the next Uber of something, whether you're a bank, a hospital, insurance company, you want access to that data so you can build applications for your customers and drive your business online, digitally, and continue to grow that way. So we help to make that a more efficient process for them.
Yeah, I love that. I can't tell you how many different, pitches or startup kind of descriptions, or if you're watching Shark Tank or something like that, we're the Uber of this, we're the Uber of that, right? So I love that you touch on that there. So timely, man. All right. Well, and as you said, having, worked in the tech sector, been on the agency side, done PR work, you've got some unique experience that lends itself to some great perspective on customer marketing. So let's kick it off with the first thing, why customer stories are so important and why customer marketing can be so effective.
Yeah, I think at least, in my own experience, and I think given any of the research, if you look closely at what some of the industry, analysts have to say, the number one resource that I think any potential buyer will tend to do in terms of making a buying decision, whether it's technology or even you and I, Logan, if we're going to go buy a car or get our house painted, first thing we do is ask a peer. I want to ask my neighbor, I want to ask a friend, I want to ask someone in my family, someone I trust. So in the world of technology, it's other technology practitioners, it's other end users. Whether you're an IT director, a VP of IT, or a CIO, you tend to rely on your tribe, so to speak. And you're going to go out and ask them, hey, what's working for you? What technologies should I give a try? What isn't working? They'll either do that online, face-to-face, at industry conferences. And we want to be part of that conversation. We want to be part of that discussion. So In terms of our most effective marketing, it's really allowing our customers to advocate on our behalf. And we do that in a number of different ways, which we can talk about in more depth. But I think that's really why we put so much emphasis on allowing our customers to really share their references and their testimonials and their stories with other customers, because it's the first place that anybody starts when they make a buying decision, is asking someone they trust.
Yeah, more and more the social proof that folks are looking for and either can find or can't find in their peer network or online is really going to affect their buying decisions. You make a good point there, Peter, that it's not exclusive to B2B. It's B2C. It's B to human. We're all humans looking for other social proof to make sure that we're making a good decision. And I think that's part of the reason why you see review sites like G2 Crowd growing so quickly. And like you said, it's not exclusive to the B2B space, right?
No, absolutely. And my ongoing, not to be glib, but my ongoing kind of marketing joke is that the last person that any technology buyer wants to hear from is the marketing team. We're considered sort of the cheerleaders of the organization. They really want to hear from other end users. And so what we do is we allow them and find a number of different ways for them to interact with their peers, whether they're existing customers, prospects, or partners of ours. We want to give them ample opportunity to have those conversations.
Absolutely. So, diving into how you can operationalize this, you mentioned kind of the first step is identifying your best advocates. Tell us a little bit more about where you guys have found success and where some of our listeners could start in identifying their best advocates, Peter.
Yeah, so we do that, I would say, in two distinct ways. First, we start with those team members within Actifio that have the existing relationship with the account. So that's typically either the sales manager, or more often than not, it's what we call our solution architect or a systems engineer. So the frontline Actifio sort of subject matter experts who are working with the customer every day to implement the product, break fix, just simplify and streamline everything around the Actifio solution within their environment. They tend to have a very close working relationship. So I'll have regular dialogue with our solution architects and with our sales teams on a weekly basis to hear about where we're having our most success with our customer base, and ask them in turn to introduce me to those customers, because I want to hear firsthand what their story is. And then I can sort of check their temperature and see if how willing and able they are to tell that story publicly, or how willing they're able to tell it to another customer, or perhaps they just want to tell it anonymously. So I'm able to kind of get a better gut check on what they're most comfortable and able and willing to do. And then the second sort of line of attack, if you will, is our marketing team. We spend a lot of time out in the field, both running industry conferences, our own proprietary events, partner events, where we're meeting customers firsthand at our own industry shows. And we tend to put a lot of our customers up on stage, either through panel discussions or presentations. And if we're moderating those discussions, we get to hear in front of a live audience what they're doing, how they're doing it. And then we can begin to work with them sort of one-on-one to really capture that story in a way that we can scale and share with lots of other customers and prospects in the marketplace.
hmm I love that idea of spotlighting your customers on stage with sharing what's going on with them. You're, like you said, not only hearing straight from them their stories, but in the nature of that, collaborating on that content with them also builds relationship between your team and the customer. And as you mentioned, maybe kind of break down that wall of the viewpoint of marketing and kind of build some rapport, the relationship that your solution architect has introduced you guys. I love that strategy. Your next point, Peter, was talking about providing a variety of opportunities to activate your customers. Tell us a little bit about this one.
Yeah, I can give you a good example of kind of how we do that kind of in a real world environment. So it's sort of less
Love it.
theoretical for your listeners. So we recently hosted an annual Actifio user conference down in Miami, and we probably hosted roughly 400 to 500 customers, prospects, and partners on site over the course of 3 days at this conference. And typically what you have on the agenda of any of these types of tech conferences are lots of talking heads. There's people get up there with their PowerPoint slides. They tell you all about your company's products, solutions, and there'll be engineers and product marketing folks. And you figure by about end of day one, halfway through day two, people will begin to glaze over. We took a really unconventional approach with our user conference this year and said, you know what? We're going to have no Actifio marketing presenters. We're going to have no Actifio product presenters. The entire 3 days is going to just be our customers up on stage. All different industries, different functions, different levels within the organization, maybe even not technology titles, some line of business managers, really sharing their firsthand experience working with Actifio and how we either help them solve a technology issue or challenge that they were faced with, or a business challenge in their own words. We may have moderated some of those panel discussions, or we hired outside analysts to do it, or we even had some of our own customers moderate a panel, what we call birds of a feather, of those practitioners within either a similar industry or similar title are solving a very similar problem. Maybe they're faced with backing up boatloads of data, and they talked about how they solved that problem within their own organization and shared some of the commonalities and some of the different ways that they tackled a similar problem. So that conference in itself really served as a launching pad for us in front of, as I said, hundreds of customers to say, look, if you have a story to share, we would love to sit with you one-on-one and capture that story. And you'll find varying degrees of ability to tell the story. Keep in mind, when you're dealing with technology buyers, these are folks who are specialists within their field. They're not professional presenters. They're not professional storytellers. They are technology professionals. So you have to find the right avenue and the right opportunity for them to tell that story. Some, it may just be a very short interview where we then capture it and we build a written case study. Others, it may be a podcast like the one we're on today, where we just get to have a kind of open dialogue. Others may be a video presentation. Some may be a speaking opportunity at a conference like the one I just mentioned. And others may be more peer-to-peer. Hey, look, I'm willing to get on the line with one or two other technology pros like myself and have a very open, honest dialogue. So you just have to find the right fit. It's not a one-size-fits-all proposition. I think that's a trap that a lot of marketers fall into. Hey, I got to get the case study because I want to put it on my website and I want to blast it through social media. Well, guess what? That may work for you as a marketer, but it may not be a great fit for your customer. So we really try to find the right opportunity in terms of comfort level for them to tell their story and allow us to then share it with the broader tech marketplace.
Yeah, I can definitely see, like you said, a variety of opportunities to activate your customers in what's their comfort level with sharing, where's their strength, what the story that they're sharing, then how's that best going to be relayed? Maybe it is a case study, but maybe it's not. We've got to be more creative than that as marketers. So I think those are definitely very tactical examples there, Peter. I love that.
All right, today's growth story is about search engine marketing. Clear Company is an HR tech company that was doing a lot of things right. Their messaging was clear, their product produced incredible results, but they were struggling to drive qualified traffic to their website. Then they found Directive Consulting, a B2B search marketing agency. Within the first 12 months of working with Directive, Clear Company was able to increase their qualified lead volume by 157%. I have a hunch that Directive can get these kind of results for you too. So head over to directiveconsulting.com and request a totally free custom proposal. That's directiveconsulting.com. All right, let's get back to this interview.
The next point I know you wanted to touch on was making your best advocates part of your inner circle. It seems like you've already kind of alluded to this in the way that you're highlighting and spotlighting some of your existing customers, but tell us a little bit about this strategy.
Yeah, so we call it, giving our customers the Actifio hug. So once they've really, showcased their willingness and ability to effectively, tell their Actifio story, whether it's one-on-one or to a broader audience, we want to get their feedback. We'll bring them in and make them part of our customer council, where we'll pick their brains, not just about our products and about our solutions and about the engineering of our product, but also our marketing. What is it about our product that really caught your attention, that resonated with you? Was it hearing from another customer? Was it a special opportunity where you heard, one of our executives speak, or did you talk to a third-party analyst who told you about us? What was it that really triggered your interest in Actifio? And it really allows us to have much more effective marketing by kind of walking a mile in their shoes and understanding what it was that really caught their attention and built their interest. Because, it's another interesting fact that I think that we've noticed about our customer base. We will tend to grow a lot of our business via inbound leads, through our website. So whether it's through a webinar, webcast, podcast, analyst white paper, and people will tend to self-educate from there. And we want to make sure that we're delivering the right level and the right quantity and right quality of content to keep that interest level going. So they really help us to identify what's working best and what's not. So another just good example, we have a really fantastic CIO that we work with. He runs IT operations for one of the largest waste management companies in North America. And he'll share with us his own real life stories about how he's using Actifio to solve very specific and timely business challenges. So, for example, if you've watched the weather news lately, you've seen some massive hurricanes hit the southeast United States where they are based. Hurricane Florence, Hurricane Mark, and he'll give firsthand experience that we can then write about and share with our other customers. So it's not just about Actifio and it's not just about his business, but it's about a very timely situation or opportunity that's happening at that point in time that he's willing and able to share with other customers and with his peer network. So I think that tends to be a very effective approach for us as well, is identifying those opportunistic moments for them to tell their story as well. Not just when it's good for us, but when it's good for them to be able to showcase how they're succeeding at overcoming a specific challenge.
I love it. The last thing I know you wanted to touch on, Peter, that really kind of wraps up this conversation really well is encouraging referrals for new customers and new advocates to keep your pipeline growing. I think, all sales and marketing teams, we love referrals. We love customers saying good things about us, but there's often some disconnect on how do we actually encourage that, what things are working well to activate those folks. So tell us a little bit there about some of the lessons you've learned in encouraging referrals in your customer marketing.
Sure. So, as we talked about, Logan, in terms of some of our chief customer advocates, the ones that we pull into our customer council, we say, hey, if you're willing to kind of share your story more broadly with other end users, would you be willing to host a much smaller, more intimate gathering of, let's say, CIOs or vice presidents of IT to share one-on-one with some of your friends, the people that you work with in your specific geographic area or industry? And we will host much smaller opportunities for, lunch and learn, dinners and learn, where they can bring in some of their peers, and we will be the host of that. But we may not even speak at that gathering of, let's say, 10 to 15 CIOs. Instead, we'll invite in a third-party analyst who will act as the MC or moderator of the evening. And this allows them to tell firsthand how they're working with us and what's succeeding for them, and kind of gives that third-party endorsement to a room full of their peers, where we then can kind of work on those customer referrals, where they almost become, we'll call them warm opportunities, where they want to learn more, they want to take the next step. Maybe they want a demo or an evaluation within their own environment to see how it would fit within their tech stack. And so we find those to be very effective opportunities where our top customer advocates can tell their story firsthand to a room full of their peers. Is one specific way in which we're kind of building that referral network.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the common theme of almost taking the spotlight off of your brand in some ways, highlighting your customers, taking a step back in slowing down the messaging on the front end where it's just over the top of the head, but it ends up being so much more effective and leading to warm leads for your sales team and all sorts of things down the road. I love what you're sharing, Peter. I think your experience and the growth you guys are experiencing at Actifio definitely falls in line with the great stuff that you're sharing with our audience today. To that note, Peter, if anyone listening to this would like to stay connected with you, reach out and ask any follow-up questions or learn more about what your team or the group as a whole at Actifio is up to, what would be the best way for them to reach out and go about doing that?
Sure. I'd be absolutely open to continuing the conversation or entertaining any more questions, and would be happy to help any other fellow marketers out there who are looking to grow their customer marketing efforts. You can reach out to me via LinkedIn. So it's Peter Ross, ROSS, Vice President of Marketing at Actifio. So I'm sure there's a handful of Peter Rosses on LinkedIn, or you can just send me an email directly to Actifio at peter.ross@Actifio, ACTIFIO.com.
Awesome. This has been phenomenal. Thanks so much for being on the show, Peter.
Thank you, Logan. I appreciate it. A lot of fun talking B2B marketing, and I look forward to continuing the discussion.
Absolutely. Digital marketing agencies have a tough job. You have to stay on top of the latest marketing strategies for your clients and your agency. What if there was a way you could address both at the same time? Imagine your agency putting out content with greater quality and quantity. Envision bringing your clients a turnkey solution for one of B2B marketing's fastest growing media strategies, podcasting. You know, all those clients asking for your help with their account-based marketing efforts? Picture being the first to bring them the idea of content-based networking, showing them the proven strategy for breaking into their most coveted accounts. Here's the concept. Sweetfish Media is looking to work with a limited number of innovative agencies interested in a new partnership model. We produce a podcast for your agency. You introduce the power of podcasting and Sweetfish services to your clients. Everybody wins. Learn more at sweetfishpartners.com.